It's absolutely a blind spot for a lot of marketers.
Do you think Google will lose a lot of traffic in the next few years?
The first problem to solve is we call it AI visibility. So
Yeah.
a portion of that traditional search traffic that is moving over to large language models is going to Gemini.
From some of the big brands that I'm speaking to, they're
Yeah.
dedicating some people internally to actually teach everyone else in the organization about AI.
But their organic is going down. Yeah, and we said we're not going to cover it unless we're like experts at it.
If you were an SEO marketer, you were optimizing for Google's algorithm. And that was just the way it was, which makes GEO harder.
Hi, I'm Sarah, host on Digital Cheesecake. If you are liking what you're hearing at the moment, click subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you can find us, and see you next time.
Welcome back to Digital Cheesecake. We've got one of my fave friends with us today. Oh, hit follow, subscribe, all that jazz. But we've got Andrew Higgins here today. So I've known you, I don't know, for a few years, maybe?
Long time, yeah.
Long time? Okay.
I guess now.
And you've had an awesome, like, interesting career. So you've gone from kind of like marketing roles, then you built a business, sold it, and then you're doing another huge business at the moment. So I want you to tell us from the start, even marketing. You've kind of always had that background.
Today, working on it, not a huge business yet.
Sorry.
I guess if we go all the back. So I was fortunate enough, right as I left uni, I met a couple like brilliant founders just coming off of a Stanford dorm room floor, building software, and I don't think I knew what it fully meant. I think to an extent they didn't yet. It was very much in its infancy. But a company called Pixely. I was lucky enough I got to join for the majority of that journey.
Yeah, what role did you start as?
I started as a product manager and digital marketing strategist. Kind of the nebulous terms that mean you're not selling the product and you're not actually in terminal writing code to build the product and figuring out how to add value in the messy middle.
Yeah. You think it was good being knowing product, like doing like product role? Because they're a bit different now, those product roles, but
they are. And for me, I think spending time with the development team and in product was one of the most important things to turn me into the marketer I was. I think understanding product market fit, understanding like inherently the problem that you solved, and being able to speak to customers the right way. I learned a lot of that actually in working in product before understanding how to translate that into marketing. So I think the best marketers are either phenomenal salespeople or phenomenal product people. And ideally you understand both, but marketing is communicating at scale. And so if you are a subject matter expert on what you're selling and you understand product, or you really understand how to translate a message into a sales motion, like those two skills I found really beneficial. Marketing is oftentimes like putting a bunch of pieces together, and that's what substantiates it as its own discipline, but it sits in the middle, right?
Cool. Okay, and then?
So after Pixely, we built the business. We sold in 2022. So I spent some time at Amplify, which is kind of an Audax and 6th Street company that took a bunch of pieces, social media management, live video shopping. We were Pixely and Turn2. We eventually became Pixely. Turn2 was user-generated content, influencer marketing, and ratings and reviews. So this stack, kind of a social experience, social media marketing.
Did it really exist then?
There.
In 2022, it was like pre-TikTok, wasn't it?
Well, so user-generated content, when Pixely was started, Instagram had like 30 million active users and was only on iOS. The initial inception of Pixely was people were using social media more and more. It was how we were communicating with each other, but brands hadn't fully figured out how to translate the consumer behavior into the branded experience. I think it's similar to any new technology. Like mobile was the same as all of a sudden you took non-mobile marketing strategies to mobile and they didn't work. Social media was the same, as brands were using it as a broadcast channel because they knew there was lots of eyeballs there, but they didn't really know how to interact on these platforms. Where Pixely became real valuable was primarily in e-commerce. Is when people were shopping online, e-commerce websites were sterile. You didn't get to walk into a store and get the experience of the brand in a tangible way, hold and feel products. You popped onto an e-commerce site that essentially all looked the same other than what product was in the PDP thumbnail. And so where Pixely became very valuable was bringing over real content from shoppers, ratings and reviews, photos and videos
Yep.
from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and integrating them into the e-commerce experience. So
How did it integrate it with the e-commerce experience? Was it like pre-buying it or afterwards? The whole journey?
when done correctly,
Yeah.
you found ways to integrate social proof along that whole customer journey.
Okay.
It impacts discovery and thinking about what you want to buy, seeing products worn by people of all shapes and sizes and different colors, whether it's
Imagine it's like the start of
And
it's like
then
that
all the way
whole
down
TikTok
to-
experience
I
piece.
mean, today it's commonplace. Today, the way
Yeah.
we shop is inherently social. It wasn't in 2018. And so finding ways for brands to do this easily, and obviously every photo and video that lives online does not fit a brand criteria. And so there's a moderation process, and there's a rights management, but all of that kind of networking to be able to have a rich, very human e-commerce experience was the original hypothesis of Pixley.
But there's always that key piece that people decide to either leave a company or stay. And why did you think you should stay there and grow? And then obviously it was the right thing, and the company sold, and now you're moving into something different. But
I mean, I think it fit on the things I cared about most, which was, one, we were solving a problem I believed in. I believe this was something I genuinely, marketers needed to solve this problem. And I thought we were the ones to do it. People is a huge thing as well. I think, especially when you join an early stage business, I think having a culture and a group of people that you want to win alongside was super important for me. And these are people that are family, friends, and colleagues, and we got to build something really special together that we were proud of. But I continue working with them today. My co-founder is the original founder of Pixley.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think that, to me, that's special. I mean, we were talking about this, but if you're going to spend all day at work, being able to work alongside people that you care about, not just as colleagues, for me, that changes what it feels
everything.
Like. What it feels like to go to work. Yeah.
Okay, so then you sold, and then
we sold. I spent. I spent.
You had a baby.
A couple years. I did have a baby. Actually, more recently, I spent 2 years at Amplify. I ran growth across the product suite that rolled up into Amplify, and so I got to understand same shopper, same buyer, but a wider breadth of products in kind of the MarTech stack. And then spent a year actually. So Stanford University has an offshoot technology accelerator and venture capital firm called Stardex. So I helped out there kind of as the palate cleanser, having spent 9 years building a software business. Find a way to go interact with really smart, brilliant founders doing really cool things.
Did you start getting on board staff positions then?
Since leaving Amplify, I think Stardex was. I was helping the CEO at the time was a guy named Kyle Wong, who was the CEO of Pixley, and so I was helping him run the accelerator and nice. I think since then I've been able to start working with founders. I've become one again myself, so it both helps me be a better founder and operator, and kind of lending where I'm helpful and useful the experiences of building Pixley. So that stuff I think gives me energy.
So you on the board with some of these startups? Or?
Different startups, but I think
nice.
Right now I think I want to make sure at least a bit of my time is not just building Parsnipp, which we'll get into in a moment, but keeping your finger on the pulse of the ecosystem and contributing where I can, but also learning as folks. I mean, things are changing incredibly fast right now.
And you can take some of those learnings back to Parsnipp, can't you?
And you get in tunnel vision when you're when you're building a business. You get and you should get tunnel vision. Right. You figuring out your problem that you are solving and the technology you are building. You put blinders on. You're solving problems, a very acute, specific problem for your customer. But I think pulling your head up and being able to stay abreast of what's happening in software, in marketing, is super important. So
fast forward.
And then fast forward, had a baby. Daughter was born last year, little Freddie, and then have recently we actually incorporated in November, but founded a new business called Parsnipp, which is doing kind of a blend of generative engine optimization, GEO.
GEO, which a lot of people don't know what it means.
A lot of people don't know. We'll talk about it. And then
what is GEO? We'll come back to it.
The right question. Kind of agentic commerce helping and what will be LLM ads management, but that's a lot of words. What it really means is like a lot of discussion around AI is on how to make the things we do every day at work better, more efficient, more cost effective. The other half of how AI has changed lives today is the consumer behavior. Is the way we use the internet is different. The way we shop, the way we learn, the way we figure out what restaurant to go to, what jeans to buy, what shoes to buy to run your first half marathon. It's fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And marketers need to evolve on the back of that consumer behavior.
And I think it's every day. I'm like changing the way I'm searching today than yesterday.
Which also it means
Beyond.
one of the like if we simplify the conversation, it's a new channel. Like forget the kind of all of the like fluffy language that's often accompanies AI.
Yeah.
This is just a new marketing channel. This is the same when we were introduced to mobile or email marketing or social media. Like there's a new channel. People are using it to do lots of things and have lots of brand relevant interactions. And therefore there's a new playbook and new tactics that marketers need to deploy to try and influence the interactions between their shoppers and AI. And
it does annoy me when people go, the first thing you can really tell by someone is when they're like, do you think it's going to take people's jobs? And you're like, this is a different conversation. Like, it's not about that.
Marketers.
Or all of the above.
All of the above.
There are places where it will create jobs and change the way we do work. There are jobs that were
Same with
super
e-commerce.
important and can now be done in more efficient ways. Like, it's all true. In my mind, it's all true. But what we do know is we're all interacting differently with our phones, with the internet. We're shopping different, and therefore, if we, sell a good or service, we probably want to evolve with our shopper.
I get the impression that most marketeers aren't ahead of the curve with this stuff. So how are you?
No, it's a totally
How are you going to get them to
the full range? To be honest, the full range. I have conversations where folks are super deep into GEO or AI search or AIO.
Yeah.
Like,
is it a small percentage though?
But more advanced in the US, no? Do you think?
I'm not sure it's a US thing. I think different businesses have prioritized it at different rates.
That makes sense.
I also think it's a discipline that we don't fully understand. That is changing incredibly fast, and to an extent we're all sort of figuring it out together.
Yeah.
I mean, this is also I use Facebook as a great example, or TikTok, or whatever channel we remember because it's recent.
2008 Facebook, I remember.
Yeah.
Where I mean, and the first time ads were rolled out, and there wasn't engagement data, there wasn't an ad management platform. The first time you had like demographic data or audience metrics, like each of these changed the way we used the channel.
Yeah.
We're at that left-hand side of the curve with AI search.
Yeah.
We know this is how our customers behave. We know there's something we should do about it, and then we have to figure out where that fits in the prioritization stack as marketers. What do we do now? What do we do later? What things move the needle? What do we measure? Those are the problems we're trying to solve at Parsnipp.
So you're at the kind of beginning-ish of Parsnipp. So what was the hardest bit about building something in such a new space as well?
I think making it consumable and understandable.
Yeah.
I think, and the reality that there are pockets of marketing where this is a huge discussion, like GEO, and to be fair, it's being called a bunch of things. It doesn't even have one name. Is it GEO? Is it AI search? Is it AIO?
Is it agentic commerce as well? Part of it?
Well, so, and this is like where like the words matter, but they're confusing.
Yeah.
There's people interact with AI. Today, that's largely through large language models, right? They're using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. Well, those interactions are the consumer AI interactions that are most relevant today, but just to marketers. We know that's how how buyers are consuming content. Right?
Yeah.
And so, what can you do on the channel? Well, you can hopefully start to measure and understand how AI is talking about my brand. Start to benchmark against competitors, start to understand how I rank, what data is being indexed by the large language models to answer questions about me. All that's call that organic.
Yeah.
If we equate it to traditional SEO in terms we understand, maybe that's the organic conversation. The agentic commerce conversation is being able to transact on the platform.
Yeah, selling on the platform.
Coming, right? There's large announcements with Walmart and Shopify with OpenAI, so that you can buy directly in ChatGPT. That will presumably be true
Amazon
elsewhere
or a marketplace, or just
Correct.
say, can you give me the top best frying pans or something like that.
Well, you'll be on ChatGPT
We're doing
doing it.
and
You
right
won't even
now
go to
then you would
Amazon.
bounce off platforms.
Going-
Yeah.
Won't they incorporate
do
it
that
all?
already.
It
Yeah,
is
which
going
is
to
what
be
he's
incorporated.
they're gonna,
That's
they
the
have to do
direction.
it.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And I think there are things we know. There are new protocols. There are ways that product feeds should be structured to be, readable by LLMs, to be able, to make sure that you could transact through Stripe or however. But a lot of this we don't know, and it's changing
Yeah.
incredibly fast. So what will the future of e-commerce look like when agentic commerce takes up a larger chunk?
I mean,
of
I'm pumped, but
transactions?
it's
I don't
kinda
know.
terrifying
And
to
we have thoughts, and we're going to build the software that helps, for people that sell online today. How do you set up your technology stack to be able to effectively sell across 3, 4, 5 new channels? There's things people should do to do that effectively.
So is that the first problem it's solving? Or
First
what
problem
would
it solves is we call it AI visibility.
Yeah.
But I'll call it the organic discussion. That is the most actionable today.
Yeah.
So if we break it down, organic AI visibility, agentic commerce, so selling on the channel, LLM advertising, right? And probably content marketing.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 major buckets. The 2 most actionable today are the organic visibility. How do I optimize and make sure that my website is structured correctly, that I have, the correct schemas so it's machine readable? How do I make sure I have the content that are answering the prompts people are actually asking? And then start to optimize that engine. That's the most actionable today. There are tangible things that brands should start doing to prepare for agentic commerce and prepare to start testing advertising. But a lot of this is it's a moving target, and it's happening real time.
Do you think
So dumbing it down. Oh, sorry, you go.
Do you think Google will lose a lot of traffic in the next few years?
It already is.
Well, so Google search is losing traffic.
It just
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Obviously there's an arms race going on right now, and Gemini is one of the leading players. So a portion of that traditional search traffic that is moving over to large language models is going to Gemini.
Yes, it's still Google.
But yes, I think the thing about traditional search is it was a monolith, right? Is that it was Google's channel primarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
like a race.
AI search is much more fragmented.
Yeah.
And it's evolving, and depending on the month or who you ask, people, there's different models, and there's there is multiple.
That's what happened
players.
with the search engines back in the late 90s. There was like Google, Yahoo.
Oh, yeah, true.
There were 2, like
It
AOL.
was much more
Ask Jeeves.
fragmented. It was, and I guess for the last decade, if you were an SEO, marketer, you were optimizing for Google's algorithm, and that was just the way it was today, which makes GEO harder because the way that Claude answers a prompt and ingests information is fundamentally different to Gemini.
Totally, right?
So then you get a lot more compounding variables as a marketer. If you forget that, like the AI piece, it's just like, okay, I have a bunch of channels and that I have to optimize for. Well, I now need to start mapping my customer because I need to understand my customer, what models are they using, and start to index and change marketing strategy based on the channel, the tactics, and the audience. And so it's different.
Going to the main problem, right, to dumb it down for people listening.
Yeah.
The first thing at the moment people are experiencing in marketing is their organic is dropping naturally
Correct.
because they're all looking at Google Analytics, right? But there is a black hole, pretty much, where everyone is now searching in LLM models and looking for things, but no one can really track that, really.
It's a blind spot. And so I think, and I hope, I guess, that the perceived drop in traffic is a false negative.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is I'm not sure people are shopping for sneakers any less.
Correct.
The channels that they are using to do so are different, and the way that we measure as marketers, all the tooling is not there. So if 30% of conversations are now taking place on ChatGPT about the running shoe that I want to buy, well, a lot of sneaker brands don't have the analytics and tracking and software to understand that new 30% of interactions. That's one of the things that Parsnipp is helping solve.
Yeah.
So it will mean new tools. I mean, social media was the exact same.
Yeah.
Right. Before we had impression volume and social analytics, we knew a ton of people were maybe following the brand, but I didn't have a full understanding of who was interacting with my content, of its impact downstream, down the funnel, and to be able to actually, build marketing programs around social as a channel. I think we'll go through a similar maturity curve. With
Yeah.
What brands
AI
getting
search.
wrong about AI search is because they don't have access to the tools yet, or not aware of them yet, and they just need to do-
Education
For
stuff.
some,
Yeah.
yes. Well, education, yes. It's absolutely a blind spot for a lot of marketers. And to be fair, you can do everything correct today. It's still, to some extent, a blind spot. Like all of the analytics that we will need to like really use the channel, market on the channel effectively, aren't available. Like many of them are, and there's things you should start doing today. And that's kind of why I think this will be a crawl, walk, run scenario where there's things you need to do for GEO today to start making sure you are as visible as possible across LLMs. You measure and benchmark the things that matter, but also there's a lot of functionality yet to come. There's
Yeah,
a
like
lot of,
how do they
there's a
even
lot of
know what to
API
measure?
endpoints. There's a lot of new use cases that are going to be hyper relevant, and we will have to we'll have to keep our finger on the pulse and continue to evolve. And the brands that evolve faster will, capture a larger portion of this conversation. And it's the same as any new channel, I think.
From some of the big brands that I'm speaking to, they're
Yeah.
dedicating
Yeah.
some people internally to actually teach everyone else in the organization about AI and what technologies they need to bring on board. So are there any brands that you're speaking to or know that are well ahead of the curve?
Yeah, and I think, but the interesting thing is that conversation can be split, and some brands are doing GEO phenomenally. And some, even in the conversation, if they are investing into AI, if they're up-leveling the team, if they're looking at internal processes, you can be doing that phenomenally and responding to like the shift in how we do business AI is having, and still not be looking at it as a channel. That's like the very marketing centric portion of this discussion. Is it's not just how like I should change the way my support lines and customer service works. I should change the way that I do financial reporting. I should change the way that I manage my PR tracker. All these things that I can now automate large portions of this. The other half is like, what about the way my shoppers have changed?
Yeah.
And that is the GEO portion of the conversation that I think is newer than even the broader AI discussion. It's like, oh, wow, okay, I see search traffic dropping, organic traffic dropping. I know when I go home, I'm using ChatGPT to look up a recipe or to figure out, where we're going for the week, what restaurant we want to go to this weekend. Oh, all my customers are doing the same.
I do itineraries for weekends away.
All the above, all the
Bosh,
above,
done.
all the above. And
Yeah.
so if you are Expedia, that is super relevant.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness! I am a travel marketplace and an OTA. Well, a lot of that discovery used to happen on my site.
So they will because you talked about an organic version. So would that be the paid version?
There will be on a lot of the LLMs. There will be a paid advertising use case, which will be incredibly important. I mean, OpenAI is testing it today with a few advertisers, but they're also, there is releases and conversations around native applications as well. So
Nice.
if you could see the OTAs, travel is the example.
That will be huge in hotels.
And maybe that discovery portion you want to build into OpenAI or Gemini and be able to influence more of the planning portion of travel. Maybe you're okay just having the bottom portion of the purchase funnel, but you want to make sure you integrate the agentic commerce. Like this will be sort of a blend of like, what is the brand? What are the goals? How do you want to use the channel? What can you measure? There's a lot of moving parts, and I think it will be exciting, and it will be a huge opportunity for brands. Yeah. But it's also, there's a huge risk as well of falling behind, as the way we use the internet changes. Yeah.
So you just,
Is this helpful?
I know. I'm actually
that's
just
so cool.
thinking about how many things I'm going to change in this agency. Of like,
There's also
it's just
such
so
thing as doing
much.
too much, though, and and there really is such thing as doing too much. And I think it's easy to see sort of the mirage and conversations around how disruptive AI is, all true, and over-index on it. That's particularly true in AI search.
do you think a lot of these search agencies do like a lot of SEO, like have an SEO arm? Do you think they'll shift to more like a GEO arm? So,
I think
They have to.
Many have.
Yeah.
They kind of have, yeah.
Many have. There's a lot of overlap. Like there's overlap between SEO and GEO.
Well, yeah, we've got some clients at the moment, we don't cover it, but their organic is
asking
going
for it.
down. Yeah, and we said we're not going to cover it unless we're experts at it. You've got to deliver a service on it.
How do you become an expert at it? Obviously, you mentioned education, so
It's going to be the biggest piece.
Something so new.
A lot of testing.
Yeah.
You work a lot of, that's why we're very fortunate to be working with really smart brands. And, you had a lot of it is being topical.
Yeah.
I mean, closing the data loop here is very challenging. And it's an interesting exercise in building software because we're figuring out in real time what things we can measure, from an impression and engagement standpoint. Yeah. And then how do we actually derive business value from that? Like, what are the KPIs, literally? Is it traffic that comes through to my website from an LLM? That's a very small portion of actual like conversations that take place on the LLM. What data do we have from OpenAI or Gemini or Claude to start to like dissect and understand these interactions? So I think it is a moving target. I think there are things that you can and should do today, and we know those definitively. And then there's a lot of exploratory stuff. How does content marketing strategy evolve to make sure that the prompts that I think and know my customers are asking get answered in a way I want them to?
Yeah.
And there's tactics that like we know definitively, like comparison content. Incredibly important. Was important to an extent in traditional content marketing or SEO. Yeah. Large language models eat it up. FAQs, you'll notice today, everyone has FAQ. That was a GEO, tactic. I think that is super important because it's the way that it's the type of information that ChatGPT looks for.
It's how people
and there's a bunch of these. So there are lots of things we know and that marketers should prioritize. There's things they should start testing, but not over-index in. And there's a lot of stuff we need to prepare for and be ready to act that isn't quite at our door yet. Things like advertising. Okay. Yeah.
And you started this business in November. Yeah.
And even since November, it's changed a ton. Yes.
But you've been on the journey before, so obviously you've been in another startup and a growth business. But for anyone because there are lots of people who are coming away from marketing and then setting up their own tech business or business. So how are you going to get it out there in the first year? What plan of action do you have?
I think solving a problem worth solving is incredibly important. I think thinking about scale too early is wrong. I think the reality is
you are right.
Good marketing, scale's no longer an issue. Like if you solve a real problem for a real audience, like you can market and sell a product. Like that, to me,
it's easy to sell.
It's easy to sell something that works. And of course, marketing is challenging, but we understand that motion a lot better than we do building a new product in a new category. And so for me, it's much more about how do we build something that's genuinely useful, that has high efficacy, because a lot of exploratory marketing is hard to measure. It's nebulous. I mean, it's the old adage that 50% of my marketing works. I just wish I knew which 50% it was, right? And that's
literally always
being on the right side of that 50% and being able to really justify your value from day one. I think is way more important than being loud. And so I'm comfortable in the first cycles of the business working with a small set of brands that are committed to solving this challenge, and then being able to amplify and scale it when we understand our value as well. So I think that to me, it's the marketing will come, but there's no better way to market than through your own customers and through like tangible success stories. And that is one of the issues with GEO as well. A lot of people are talking about it. Everyone knows it's relevant. You're either talking about it or you should start.
Yeah.
So worry there. Yeah.
And you do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not really sure what the impact was. I think that's a really bad place to be. And you over fundraise, you over market, you talk about the problem, which is great content marketing, without a
That's us.
without a like
what's the problem?
Sharp enough solution. And I think that's what's kind of what I think.
Well, everyone's looking for solutions. How we search. So, what's the biggest problem you think marketers are going to face? Like they're going to face this year? Not even marketers, right? In this area, unless you adapt.
Yeah, I think consumer behavior is incredibly different.
Yeah.
So imagine if you are an established business, you understand your marketing channels, you understand acquisition across all the different things you're doing, you understand your brand. And then everything gets turned upside down.
Literally, that's like every 5 to 10, yeah.
That's what just happened. And we've seen versions of this. Like mobile for me was a really big one.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
I do agree when that came
TikTok as a channel. Yes, it was disruptive. Yes, it was the consumption of it was insane.
Yeah.
But we understood social media marketing.
Yeah.
And we had to bridge that from, okay, let's look at social media marketing as the broad channel. What's specific to TikTok, TikTok's audience. How does content, get engaged with differently? What's successful on the platform? Like, it is different, but not to the extent of what we're seeing today. Like this is pre and post internet in many ways.
I feel like it was TikTok, then Threads, and then they've kind of just died in the sense of like they're there, but now AI.
Threads.
I don't know. What do you think about things like Threads, for example?
I think for certain audiences they matter, and but that's like with any channel, you're going to evaluate what's the audience, what's the size, what's the specificity of it, what as a marketer, what tactics are available to me, and you put together this grid and you figure out how you allocate resources, how you prioritize based on what you're selling and to whom. So to me, like it's a math problem in many respects. Obviously, there's elements of marketing that are less quantitative, and like there's something beautiful about great branding. And yes, a lot of people argue. I think making even branding as quantitative as possible is beneficial, but there is an art to it as well. I agree. I don't care what anyone says. That I believe that.
No, totally.
But if
you're a new brand, it can't be the priority always, right? What do you think?
And then, but also there are brands that were built by phenomenal business folks who chose a category. They did the math behind entering. They found a gap, and then they built a really good product. And then there's truly founder-led products that were someone built this to solve a problem they had, realized other people have the same problem. Both can work. I think we're more enamored by that like founder-led story today. You see a lot of influencer products doing phenomenally.
Everywhere.
But there's lots of ways to build a business. Like I think as long as you solve a real problem for real people, you can have longevity.
And I think timing is everything as well, because we always talk about this. We're always like, what hasn't been made yet? Can it just come to me in the middle of the night? But I think timing is everything as well. It's like, okay, you spot it straight away. Let's jump onto it. Let's not wait around. Let's jump off and just do it.
There's also so many smart people.
There's so
many great ideas. So I think timing is incredibly important. I think luck is also incredibly important. I think anyone who doesn't say that might have too high an inflated sense of self. Like you have to get really lucky. You have to have timing be perfect. Yes, you have to have a great product too. But I think that there's like you don't control all the variables. And so yes, to an extent, like one variable you do control is going for it and starting a business. Like that is the entrance criteria. If you don't go try and build a business and take the risk on yourself, then you don't even give the chance for all the other things to align and for something great to happen. So like that fact we know. The rest of it is there's there's also a lot of mediocre products that had wild success because the timing was perfect, or the team was awesome, right? I think I have a lot of folks who argue like the idea is not the important part. Like there's too many good ideas.
True. Yeah.
There's not enough operators and great business people. And so like you depending on what examples we're looking at, you probably can argue both sides of that conversation. Where like that product was destined to win, or that founder was destined to win regardless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So can people use Parsnipp? Yeah.
They can. So we launched the alpha last month.
Yep.
In April, we will launch for public release, so people will be able to try and use it for free. I think it absolutely will be a freemium software tool. Largely to the conversation we were just having is, for a lot of marketers, they're just getting their feet wet. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to learn, what can I measure? What should I measure? How do I think about value? Which tactics, in the long list of things that can impact visibility on AI?
Yep.
Where do I start?
Yep.
So I think what we've tried to do is make it super consumable and super easy to get started. Of course, you can get wildly complex. You can have 20 personas and different markets and different products and brands all being optimized differently across different channels. Like this can get very matrixed and complicated, but there's things that are universal, and you should start today.
So for people building something from scratch, how much can you get it off the ground, like without doing all this investment piece, or do you think that is still pretty critical?
I think it depends on the product and the market space.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about fundraising for the sake of fundraising, I don't believe in.
Yeah.
But when you understand the problem you're solving, the market you're entering, you start to back into what the capital requirements are. I think we get really excited about fundraising, particularly in Silicon Valley, and I think I think sometimes it's needed and it's reinforced by the business you're building, and sometimes it's the hype machine, and people want to fundraise because they can.
Yep.
But one of the most disrupted, obviously, portions of AI has been how we build software.
Yep.
So I think it's easier than ever to build great software very quickly and far less expensively, and get quicker to value. So if the goal is time to value as a founder building a software business, I want to identify the problem, substantiate that this is a problem worth solving, and other people feel what I'm feeling, and go build the solution. And you can do that way faster than at least you could when we started Pixley, for example.
Yeah. So you've had the experience of also raising, right?
We did Pixley went through kind of your traditional Silicon Valley, venture capital cycles before it sold. So we've done that before. We understand that model, but that model's changing a lot too. Today.
But now you've gone through the second round of it. It's a lot faster. You know the people, they back you, so it's a lot easier. Do you think?
I absolutely. I mean, yeah. The elements that most early stage venture capitals will look at, the product, the people, the market. Of course, when you've built business and you've built some of these relationships, you're quicker to prove out the people portion of it. It's like, Awad is a phenomenal technologist. So I'm more than willing to invest in his business. The rest of it, you got to do the old-fashioned way. And I think for me, having been a marketer, it's much easier for me to talk about and build marketing software.
Yeah.
Because I've done the job, and I've sat there and figured out how do we drive leads? How do we drive leads from this channel? What content marketing matters to our buyer versus our user? Like, let's build personas. Like, I've done all this stuff. And so I'm lucky enough I've actually only worked in the category of the discipline of the day job that I've always done. So I've worked in marketing software my whole career. Yeah. And as a marketer, but figuring out, I think for anyone, having the subject matter expertise with your shopper and with your buyer is beneficial.
What's your favorite part of the role? Like even now? Because everyone gets to this pinnacle and they're like, someone said they wanted to get financial freedom. I feel like I don't care about that, but some people do. Like, what's your favorite part?
I like building. I think the thing that gets me out of bed and very excited is figuring out how we go from an idea to building a business we can be really proud of. And I think the people really matter to me, and they always have.
That's the same. I always say,
everyone working on Parsnipp is someone that I've worked with in the past and built a real relationship, and we are part of each other's lives in and out of work, and that makes winning more fun for me. And so, but I also am a software dork, and I like technology.
That's obvious.
And I like marketing. And so figuring out how we take things we've known about marketing, like the traditional building blocks of how to run a campaign, how to identify an audience, and overlay them with new technology, new consumer behavior. Like, it's a cool challenge. And it's something we're all going to need to do. So being able to help brands do this effectively and be timely and lead is really, that excites me.
Cool. And I know this probably, we have to wrap up soon, but the second problem it's solving is also e-commerce in AI pretty much.
Yeah, I think ultimately we are e-commerce software folks. Social media and e-commerce is where most of our career has been. So the problem that we're most excited to solve is, how do you manage agentic commerce? How do you manage advertising and all of the relevant use cases across AI search? Today, though, AI visibility, organic content marketing is the most actionable element of GEO. So where we're starting is where we think our customers should start. I think long term, the largest marketing use cases will be commerce focused or paid advertising. But it all will matter. And so I think ideally we can build a platform that helps brands influence interactions between AI and their shoppers, and the toolkit required to do that well.
When do you think that will start coming in? Sponsored ads, e-commerce.
I think it'll be different for every LLM. And that's also what makes this multifaceted.
Like a race.
There's multiple players. And, there are platforms that said we absolutely will not have advertising.
Who said that?
Claude, for example. Yeah.
Oh, really?
They're not going to do it. There are platforms.
Silly question, but who owns them?
Anthropic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they also have, a very successful enterprise B2B, product.
Fair enough.
Fairly or not, the world thinks of them slightly less as a consumer application. Relative to, ChatGPT and Gemini.
Huge for B2B, I agree, actually.
So, but I also think this stuff will change model to model, iteration to iteration.
Definitely.
And so we sort of gotta just stay sharp and measure and invest cautiously and continue to optimize as we would any other channel. I think even just because social media exploded doesn't mean we stopped we stopped all forms of traditional media. It doesn't mean that we never bought it. We never bought anything but a mobile ad ever again. It doesn't mean that email marketing is dead. It doesn't mean that SMS is irrelevant. Like, all these things matter, and it's piecing it together to have a full omni-channel marketing platform matters. So this is just another tool kit that we need to have.
It's intense.
Was this helpful?
Yeah.
God, yeah.
I'm learning a lot. I'm like,
It's better when we're quieter, because usually when we're chatting, we're like, oh, we're moving to the next topic. But this is like, oh shit, there's so much to do.
There's so
All I'm
much
thinking
to
about is just like all marketers are just stretched so much at the moment, aren't they? And they just have to make money, and then they're not even thinking about this. So
Some of them aren't,
it's just, It's just like not a headache, but it's just something they know they have to do, but they need to dedicate time.
I think you fall
towards it,
behind
don't
if you
they?
start thinking that way, though. It's not like, for me, it's like it's optimized my entire role.
Yeah.
Like,
If you look at each role, like all in a business, and then look at the last 10 years, which role has expanded the most?
yeah,
It's marketing.
Exactly.
Because marketing is fragmenting. It is
Exactly.
It is speeding up, and every time there's a new channel, you don't hire a new team. Right, so it's like I'm a
guy to do it.
I'm a digital marketer. Hey, by the way, you're also managing this. You were doing SEO. You're now doing AI search.
Exactly.
Oh, you're doing social media management. Now you have TikTok. Like whatever it is, marketing is that role has changed.
all
the most,
marketers,
right?
bloody hell.
By far changed the most.
Yeah.
so much going on.
Okay, we have been tapped out to wrap it up.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for joining you.
Yeah,
And
you.
thanks.
That was nice.
Follow.